Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Anime Night in the Dojo. Today's featured show, Gachiakuta, Season 1.
I am Gachiakuta, Season 1, Episode 24, the last episode of this season. Welcome back to the dojo. I'm Ryu. That's Age. We're back for more Anime Night in the Dojo. And yeah, I mean, we had the whole sunglasses thing last week. With attempted insurance fraud. With no insurance in this world. That's impressive. So, you know, a couple other things last week. A lot of random nonsensical speculation and stupid things have come out about this series in the last couple weeks that we're probably going to talk about. Since this is the last episode of the season, we do the traditional season wrap-up, so this episode will probably be a little bit longer than the rest because, you know, we talk about the season on a whole, that kind of thing, what could be coming next, that kind of thing at the end of the year, or at the end of the season here, and especially with 2-core stuff. But yeah, there's a couple things that I'm gonna have to go on a mini rant about, because it's just like people just need to seriously golf at a certain point. It just needs to stop because it's absolutely ridiculous. But we'll talk about that later. As for now, it'll be interesting to see how they wrap up the season. What they might allude to, what might be coming. We got, you know, like the Hio stuff at the end of last episode, in Raider gear, that kind of thing. We'll have to see what's up with her. Whatever they might allude to for the next arc, what might be coming, because once again, we don't really have a ton of source material knowledge, if any. Just a couple things that we've had to look up for various reasons that we've already seen, whatnot. So, as it stands, in short, very good first season, and there's plenty more source material ahead of us. We pretty much have more than enough for season 2, and by the time season 2 gets wrapped up, there'll probably be enough source material for season 3. Beyond. That's this author. She's just powering it out, man. She can't be stopped. So, if anybody's concerned about not enough source material or having to wait on source material, at least right now, until the end of season 3, possibly 4, you're probably not going to have to worry about that. Depending on if we get two cores for everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which they might opt to do shorter seasons for production times, and we live in pretty strange times when it comes to, you know, AI shenanigans, so we'll just have to see what happens. But this is one of the breakout things of the last year, so they'll probably get the proper treatment. And after the One Punch Man debacle, I think the industry is going to be taking a hard, long look at certain things, and you know, especially the authors of these series will be like, hey man, did you not do this to my work? Just take your time. You're going to get money and stuff either way, so just do it right. But that's another topic for later, and we'll probably talk about that in our year in review thing that'll be coming out here when we have open slots, because, you know, the schedule's all messed up here at the end of these seasons, because MHA was shorter. At the end of the year, we missed a couple things with Gachiakuta and Spy Family because the dubs weren't there. So the schedule's all messed up. But once again, the only dub for the next set of shows that we're doing that has started is Fire Force. So we'd be waiting around anyway, as I've mentioned in the last week or so. So schedule's kind of messed up, but not really. So we're going to push some buttons, get going here, see how they wrap up the first season of Gachiakuta. And yeah, so people on Patreon, we'll see you on the other side of the edit for the time reaction, and people on YouTube, see you on the other side for the discussion and review. And if you're looking for the other thing, links are where they need to be. Click buttons, find the content that you want to watch. So let's push some buttons and get going here. So here goes some. Well, alright, then there you guys have it. The last episode of the season, we got, well, 2 stingers, 2 cliffhangers, 2 just, oh man. But we'll get to that. We had Rudo having to be reminded what his deal is by Zonka, and then he went and made some faces and made some words at Remlin, and they got cheered up. So, mission accomplished.
Yeah, once again, Rudo's thing is he's not a cleaner, he's a fixer.
Right. He just happens to be a member of the cleaners. Those are 2 different things.
Yeah, the cleaner's job is to clean up trash. He's all about fixing things that are broken.
Right. and giving them that like one last hurrah moment of being an item. So yes, either way, in this case, his job as fixer was to fix Remlin's bummed out mood, and it was awkward and weird, but I think Sarah from Has Been could take some advice from Zonka here and just be like, you can't be afraid to just go try again. You can't learn if you just are too afraid and don't pull the trigger on stuff.
And once again, you learn more from failure than you do from success.
Yep. So you kind of just gotta try some stuff. It's that simple. You can't be afraid to fail because do the Steven universe, what if something good happens? You know what I mean? So can't be afraid of failure. Either way, in this case, he succeeded. So that was a great scene for what it was.
That was a lot of words. At least some of them worked.
Right. So it led to the kid stuff, all the stuff that was going on here. Corvus sent them on a mission for various reasons. Obviously, the Hellguard stuff being what it was. We get a little bit more insight into the like. It's kind of like they kind of had that like that. I don't even know what to like compare it to. It'd be like if the FBI came in and started, or Homeland Security coming in and started bossing around some firefighters. That's like the closest thing I guess I could compare it to, I guess. You know what I mean? It's kind of a weird situation because like as we got in his like meeting with the Hellguard commander, it was pointed out that they make reports to the Hellguard and stuff like that, but they don't like answer to them. So it's kind of a weird relationship. You know what I mean?
Yeah, from what we've seen and heard, like the Hellguard are basically the closest thing to like an actual government authority that anyone on the ground has. Because their whole thing is, once again, that they're meant to basically be law enforcement of human versus human politics.
Right.
Whereas the cleaners are specialized in dealing with trash beasts and trash storm disasters and stuff like that. The Hellguard are all about dealing with criminals and rogue givers and stuff like that.
Yep. So it's kind of a unique relationship, and we'll obviously get more of it as the series moves on. Obviously, people who've read the source material probably know what's going on here, but this is kind of a weird relationship of kind of like the cleaners have to report to them just based on like courtesy and stuff like that. But, you know, as Corvus points out, it's like, you guys have never even bothered showing up here before today. You know what I mean? It's like we could be super lax and like send a report like a week late and you just don't care, and now all of a sudden you're showing up at our door freaking out our defense guy. What a read from that guy, man.
Yeah.
That was an impressive read by that character for that situation. So,
which apparently this character here isn't actually she's not the leader of the Hellguard. She's the first captain. So like she's very high ranking, but probably not the like actual head of the organization.
Right. And as was pointed out by Corvus here, first generation. So she's been around for a while, obviously.
Yeah.
And that's something else we kind of gotta. Well, I think we need to clear up the generation thing that we got there at the end with the generations of the sorcerers. Is when they say 5 generations old, we're not talking like 500 years. Okay, if you look at like when we're talking generations, for anybody who doesn't know what that means, like right now, I believe the newest generation, like in the real world, is Gen Beta. Right? That's like the kids now, like that are just being born. It's either we're at the tail end of Gen Alpha, like babies and like toddlers and stuff like that. And then the next one would be Gen Beta. I don't know if we've hit the Gen Beta thing, but if you go backwards from, let's just say it was at Alpha, that's the last one I remember. I don't know if we've hit Beta yet. You go back to from Alpha to Gen Z to Millennials and then back to X. And then I forgot what was between X and the baby boomers. There was something like that was like in the 60s, like right after baby boomers. So either way, right there, you got at least five generations, right? That's all in the last like 70 years. You know what I mean? Right now, I believe, like, if you go from like the oldest person to like the youngest person in our world, like the real world, there's like 7 generations of people that are currently alive. You know what I mean? It's not, we're not talking about like, and assuming they're using the same terminology, which, based on the fact that Rudo's dad was part of the, OG, generation of the first sorcerer, being 5 generations back, that would track. You know what I mean? That would make some sense.
The general, like, terminology of generation is typically about how long it takes for a child to be born, grow up, and have a child of their own. So typically between 20 and 30 years, depending on the actual like birth rates and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like the generations in this would be pretty short if, Rudo's dad was five generations ago, considerably. That, or Rudo's dad was very, very old when he had Rudo.
Yeah.
We also don't know how old the Hellguard is, so her being a first-generation member of the Hellguard doesn't necessarily say much. It just means that she was part of the original, like, founding generation of the Hellguard, which could be 5 years ago, for all we know.
Right.
We know it's longer than that. We know that it's been around since there was at least one generation before Zonka.
Yeah.
And Zonka left the Hellguard somewhere between, like, 6-7 years ago.
Yeah. So that's just kind of like one of those things to clear up, because I know a lot of people, like, when they hear the term generation, they think, oh, like 100 years. Like, no. That's not how that functions. On average, it's somewhere between 18 and 25 years. Something like that. So
yeah, it's generally like 20 to 30 is the average most people go by. But yeah, it's literally just whatever the average age was for children of that generation to grow up and have children of their own.
Yep. And obviously, the farther you go back in the real world, people were having children. Not saying that there aren't people that aren't having kids between the ages of 18 and 25 right now. It's a little less prevalent as it was, like, 30, 40, 50 years ago, especially. But, still.
I mean, you go back to the Middle Ages and people were having kids at like 13 on average. Right.
So it's just one of those things, too. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, generation. They think 100 years. It's like, no, that's a lifetime. Those are two different things. Yeah. So it's always one of those things that, like, I see people like misconstruing. It's like, oh man, that's 5 generations ago. That's so old. It's like, no, that was that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, typically, once again, it varies a lot based on like the actual time. But these days, in like modern technology and stuff like that, we typically have anywhere between like 7 to 8 or so generations living at any given time.
Right. You know what we also have? The Crunchyroll player. I hate it. I hate it so much, you guys. It is in fact the worst. But either way, we got this field trip. On the other side of this, the classic, adults like letting kids do the thing. They let them walk 60 kilometers. Which, yeah. I mean, we talked about it a little bit during the reaction, but once again, not everybody has access to a car or a vehicle of any kind. So
yeah, vehicles are expensive to acquire and to maintain, because once again, they don't exactly have a bustling oil industry on the ground.
Right. So
one of the things I was going to point out about this is the whole thing of like, we treat this as like a kid's field trip, but it also it's one of the things that kind of puts indirect emphasis on the fact that on Rio again, because Rio is treated as an adult, but she's actually only 16. She's only a year older than Rudo.
Right.
But
she was just absent from this entire episode. Not even a background character.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, there's something about her and Engin's backstory of him basically coming in as a father figure for her. Like, she is treated as an adult within the cleaners already, despite only being 16.
Right. either way, this whole sequence was definitely moderately hilarious. The stuff with what's his name, the split personality guy. His name is
Fu.
Yeah, Fu. That was brilliantly handled just across the board. Just the Naruto ice cream thing, also hilarious.
He still has his obsession with sweets.
Yeah, he still has his obsession with sweets. I will say that I need to correct myself from the reaction. I assumed they were in Canvas Town right here. This was the town that they went to get the ink and stuff.
Whole town.
Yeah, this was Whole Town. So there's no
So
barrier to
that's-
keep out, creepy like child abductors. So,
Yeah, this is Whole Town, it's a mining town that, it's apparently very infamous for having a lot of criminals and in particular child abductors in it.
Right. And we had this guy. This is like the stereotypical Japanese anime, just creepy guy. Haven't seen this guy in a while. But that's generally the face. When you see that face right there, it's all over. Until you get kicked in the nuts. All Rudo needed was an orange afro. If you understand that reference, props to you. But either way, just to correct myself from, I thought they were in Canvas Town, but yes, they did have to go get the ink and stuff like that. And it was pointed out by Remlin, like, this is like a mining town for specialized oil and stuff like that. And I got to make a water-based paint joke because I live in California and we're not allowed to have things that last long enough to function. So if Remlin bought paint in California, her mural would last about a year before they would have to repaint it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're using oil-based inks, which this is also, like I say, they don't exactly have a bustling oil industry, but they do have some sort of oil industry. Because once again, that's the whole thing of Whole Town, is that it is an oil mine.
Right. But either way, Fu split personality. I'm sure that'll be a just a thing that going forward, like whatever's going on with this, he keeps mentioning another host. So is it like full Orochimaru? Like, what are we talking about here? Like, what's their deal?
Yeah, he was
That's
using
kind of a point of interest. If like you found your new host, it's like that just screams classic Orochimaru. You know what I mean?
He was using the term host. We don't really know what he necessarily meant by host. If it's like body jumping host, like a parasite, or if he just means host as in like he's been abandoned by the raiders, so he's going to try to worm his way into the cleaners kind of thing.
Right, that kind of host. Because he already kind of pointed out, like, I want Engine to tell me what to do. And then Engine sneezed twice, which, got to up their game on the sneeze game. The classic, somebody's talking about me sneeze. Which, I believe that superstition. If you just sneeze out of nowhere and you're not sick or whatever, I just fully believe that someone's talking about you. So anyway, this whole sequence builds intrigue for this character and stuff like that, so that was well done. The pacing of this entire situation was great. That is the I've been kicked in the nuts face. That's a solid frame. That whole sequence was great. And obviously we got the whole there's Whole Town, and then we walked 60 kilometers, about 45-ish miles.
Yeah, this is one of the first times we've really got like a map, and on the right on the far right we have Cleaner HQ. Then Whole Town is in the middle there, kind of out of the way, and then it's Canvas Town.
Yeah.
And there were a couple other towns that weren't marked, but like we got the locations, like that one just north of Canvas Town.
Yeah. So, as was pointed out, Job walked everywhere.
Yeah.
So Remlin better suck it up, nerd.
Once again, like most people walk around. Vehicles are expensive to acquire and maintain. Usually, from everything we've seen, it's only like bigger organizations or groups of people who compile their resources that actually can have and maintain a vehicle.
Yep. So it was definitely a thing. I like what they did with like the whole like mural of the past sorcerers and stuff like that. Obviously,
Yeah, once again, it also helps to explain the whole thing of why Canvas's Town's barrier is just so strong as well, is because it's literally like the compiled effort and barrier of every sorcerer. So it just, with each generation, it gets stronger and more precise because each generation adds their own magic to it.
Yep. So obviously, we got a little bit more on the original sorcerer, their group of friends and stuff like that, and they're all, related to what are probably the other 4 series, at least as it stands right now. You got the Watchmen series on the right, and as you go from right to left, probably several other series that we've speculated on that are, existing items in this world that are doing something.
Yeah, once again, I only have knowledge of the Watchmen series, but I assume that there are other series. And yeah, this whole thing pointed towards like that the Watchmen series has some sort of like significant relation to Canis, Rudo's father.
Right.
Or the Undertaker, as he was known.
Yep. And that's further explains why Bundus wanted that idol. So
yeah.
that makes some semblance of sense, because you could probably argue that bare minimum Bundus is 1 generation newer than Rudo's dad, if not the same generation, based on his age. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're probably similar ages, because Bundus is at least in his 40s from what we got off of his, like, talking about his limbs and stuff.
Yep. So either way, the 2 big just lore drops of, that's my name, and then the whole Tomsy thing at the Stinger here, with the fact that he's the one that has Amo. And again, this is Tomsy, just tears down. Okay.
Yeah, which this does not confirm or deny my speculation of him being the angel, but it definitely makes it very likely, because once again, the whole last thing we saw of Amo was Amo recognized who abducted her.
Yep.
Which, like, the only characters that she would recognize would be like the angel, or that we know of anyway, would be like the angel or freaking Mister.
Yeah. So either way, again, this was a solid episode to wrap up the season. And again, season on the whole was very good, and they did a good job with creating that whole build up of anticipation for the next arc, obviously, because you get the whole Rudo name drop thing, and then the Amo stinger here,
So, which, once again, I already knew Canis was his dad, but thinking about it, yeah, we never really got Rudo's last name or anything like that to really make the connection between Canis and Rudo up to this point. It was purely just like external knowledge as to why I knew it was his dad.
Right. So either way, we mentioned at the end of the reaction, but I'll mention it again here, is there's plenty of source material. There's enough for like at least 2 more seasons right now, like 2 core seasons. So
yeah, and again, the author, she is just on it. Like, she started the source material for this like less than 5 years ago at this point, and she's already got freaking 3 full seasons worth of source material.
Yeah, it's on like chapter like almost 300 something right now, something like that. So yeah, I don't think we'll have to wait very long for the next season. I assume sometime next year, meaning 2027, because obviously incredibly popular, very well received, and it's just going to come down to the studio's other commitments. But we've seen a lot of studios now like kind of like working together and outsourcing things, and certain things being, you see a lot of like in the credits, like, oh, like Madhouse did something in this season, like a little bit, or like JC staff also helped with this, or Egg Firm or whoever, you know what I mean? Just any of the other big names that like like Mappa, all the other ones that like just kind of like goes around, you know what I mean? So it's just kind of interesting to see how the industry is going to change here, especially with the advent of like a lot of AI usage, and especially with sometimes you need a catalyzing event to spark change. You know what that is right now? One Punch Man season 3, the first part of it. because they've already announced the second part is coming next year. But they're going to have enough time to do it this time.
They're gonna have more time at the very least.
Yeah, I have more time at the very least. So hopefully it'll turn out better. So, they'll have like an entire year and a half, not 6 months. So they'll bare minimum have like 3 times the amount of time. You know what I mean? And from everything that we've watched of One Punch Man Season 3 so far, yes, I agree that it's bad. It's not sky falling, we need to burn down half of Japan bad. I've seen worse animation before. You know what I mean? There are certain things in like Tokyo Avengers and stuff like that. And there have been a lot of scenes where in that show, people are just standing around and talking. So yes, I understand that like the models could be more polished and stuff like that. But still, there's a lot of standing around and talking. And if that's what's going on in the story, I'm not sure what you expect. Yes, the Garo PNG thing, yes, bad. But even if I had known that was coming, and I've mentioned this before, I hope that becomes a thing. I just hope, just for the future, just randomly, if somebody has to slide down like a grassy hill or, like a riverbank thing, just do the Garo PNG, just like as a meme. It'd be funny as hell. I hope I hope that's a good thing that comes out of this, is something like that just becomes a meme now. That's a good meme. Just out of nowhere, you just have somebody slide down the hill. You just have like 5 characters sliding down the hill, and it's all perfect animation, and then the 6th guy is just the Garo PNG. I would do it. Absolutely. and then they just look at him and go like, what are you doing? How did you do that? It's like, what do you mean?
There had been a lot more awareness in like studios and companies and stuff lately. Like freaking Hoyo has been super aware of a lot of their own communities memes and stuff like that. Like the freaking Evernight meme. They did some beta shenanigans with the Plan Arcadia, the new Star Rail world, and they snuck a bunch of the freaking the Evernight meme into the beta for people to find.
Right. So I think that if anything comes out of this catalyzing event is, one, the most important part, give teams and studios enough time to get the job done. Second, misinformation is rampant. Just because there was 7 years between One Punch Man seasons does not mean that they were working on it for 7 years. They had about 6 months. So let's get that straight right now, and we'll talk about it in another video as well, but since we're talking about it right now, that's another thing that I want to reiterate as much as possible. They had like 6 months to get those episodes done. That is not enough time. Okay? And third, if we can get something fun out of it, have the Garo PNG thing be a meme now. Okay? In that order. Of importance.
And to get back to Gachiakuta and on the misinformation note, the whole freaking Tomzy controversy.
Yep. Okay. Yes.
Was based on misinformation itself.
Yep. So that's another thing. And without going on a huge overarching thing, even though we're doing the season wrap up here, I don't really have a lot of notes for this. This was great across the board. The characters are all memorable. The pacing was solid. The art style, the graffiti stuff, that was very cool. I appreciate that. What I don't appreciate is the Crunchyroll player. But everything was great. A couple hiccups here or there, but nothing like worth talking about. And we don't talk about the minor hiccups because it's not worth it. You know what I mean? There's nothing here that I feel the need to overly criticize or point out like, oh man, this thing was whatever. You know what I mean? The people I will say the people that nitpick unbelievably are just looking to be negative, and we don't do that. So
yeah, I will say that after finishing this first season of most of the ongoing shows and stuff like that, this is the one I'm the most interested in at the moment.
Yeah. It is definitely the one with the most intrigue and just generally a very good product. You know what I mean? It's a very good story. It's well written. The characters are solid. They have a lot of, interesting quirks and stuff like that. The setting is cool. The stuff going on with the Watchmen, in the metaphysical space between the sphere, that's a very cool thing. Like we mentioned, the Atlas kind of connection, whatever's going on.
Whatever
with
the
that.
hell dimension thing that the border is.
Yeah, whatever's going on with the border, that's very cool. I like the intrigue of that. But yeah, while it's not my personal favorite show out of all this, out of like the last year, and we'll talk about it in our like year review thing. For me,
Yeah,
that was campfire cooking. This is the most interesting show by a wide margin.
This isn't. Yeah, I agree in that, and that this isn't like, I wouldn't say my favorite show that's came out recently, but it is definitely the most interesting show out of like the ongoing shows.
Yeah, and it is very good. I'm not saying, you know, keep this in mind. A lot of people misconstrue like somebody saying they don't like something for something not being good. I know how to discern those two things. I don't like avocados. That doesn't mean they're not a good food to eat. That kind of thing. You know what I mean? In the case of, you know, there are certain shows that I have not like totally liked, but they were good shows. You know what I mean? Objectively. And that's what we try to do here, is have objective assessment. And if I say I don't like something, I will absolutely every time clarify, I don't like this, but I think it's good, or I don't like this and I also think it's bad. Those are two things that a lot of people don't like to clarify. And if you just say like, you know, I don't like it, it's just automatically assumed that, you know, they think it's bad. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, again, you could not like chocolate, but that doesn't mean it's like bad or like terrible or something. You know what I mean? You just don't like it.
Like
you absolutely are entitled to not like whatever, whether it's food, entertainment, another person, doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Like to use an anime example, neither of us really like Eminence and Shadow, but it's not a bad isekai or anything.
Absolutely, and I was trying to think of like trying to give it like an example. Like we don't like Eminence and Shadow very much. We did that, and we'll talk about it in our year in review thing a little bit more detail. But it's a decent show for what it is. But you know, Sid, he grates on me more than Subaru ever did, which is impressive because we both hate Subaru from ReZero. He's gotten a little bit better as the story has progressed, obviously. But
I will say where it leaves off with that whole shenanigans in the last couple episodes makes the show significantly more interesting, but we still don't really like it so far, at least based off the first season.
And we're talking about Eminence and Shadow in this case, not ReZero.
Yeah.
ReZero is a very good show across the board. It's just that Subaru is a subpar main character, at least at the moment. He is getting better, I will admit that, but still. At the end of the day, it's stuff like Eminence and Shadow where you can look at it and go, this is cool. I appreciate it. It's absolutely not bad. It is a solid show, but I don't like it. You know what I mean? I will keep watching it because it's not that like that kind of I don't like it and I'm not going to watch it more. It's one of those, we need to watch it for context because it's also now part of Isekai Quartet.
Yeah.
And there are parts of it that are worth watching that I do like, but overall it's like, there's Sid again. So
yeah. Got distracted again, but back on the Tomsy note.
Yeah, let's get this done now. Completely back on track, full Gachiakuta for the rest of this. Is as the season is wrapped up, I've mentioned this before, and I'm never gonna stop mentioning it. In short, people need to off when it comes to the author of a series or the creator of anything laying down the law of lore. You might not like it, but you have to accept it as fact and deal with it. Okay? That's where this all stems from. Now, recently, two major things with Gachiakuta have come out. The first one, and let me preface this again by saying, I don't care what anybody is religiously, how they identify, their race, whatever. The only thing that matters to me is if you're a decent human being. That's it. The rest of it doesn't matter to me. I don't care. You know what I mean? So let's just start right there. So where this came from was it somehow came out, and we all know how stuff blows up online, is that Tomsy's trans.
It came out from misinformation.
Yeah, it came out from misinformation.
Someone made an impersonator account of Kay, the author.
Yeah.
And made a post saying that he was trans.
Yeah. So once again, misinformation, which is obviously bad. You also always have to fact check stuff, community notes, that kind of thing. However it comes out, it's, you know, that's we see it a lot, whether it's misinformation, fake accounts, whatever. But and again, it comes out, and even if it's misinformation, just like a troll, whatever it may be, there's a lot of things that are always up for debate in a series. You know, like shipping, between characters, like the Deku Ochako thing in My Hero Academia, whatever your favorite ship is, there's always going to be the debate until it becomes canon. If it becomes canon. Sometimes it's left open-ended and the author allows the headcanons to live forever, and that's totally fine. But when the author comes out and says, in the case of Kay, saying, that's news to me, no, it's over. You know what I mean? But now, that has become, oh, Kay's transphobe. It's like, no, that just means Tomzy isn't trans, which isn't a big deal. It doesn't matter if he is or isn't. The character is fine either way. But when people try to self-impose this random cultural rhetoric on stuff like this, and they just can't accept the answer that is given by the creator, that needs to stop. It's their creation, it's their product. End of story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't had any sort of trans representation per se in Gachiakuta. We still have had Remlin, who's non-binary.
Yeah, which totally fine. It doesn't matter. So, at the end of the day, that kind of stuff just needs to stop. There are plenty of better things to be concerned with than stuff like that. In the case of trying to force whatever it is, like, oh, my headcanon isn't the thing, so now we need to crucify the author because now they're this thing. It's like, they're absolutely not transphobe. This character isn't trans. You know what I mean? It's not a big deal.
It's one of those things that, once again, freaking minorities are minorities. So, the whole premise to a minority is that it is the minority in a population. So, therefore, representation of a minority of any sort, whether be it racial, orientation-wise, doesn't matter, should be sparse because, the whole thing is they're a minority. There shouldn't be that many of them.
Yep. And at the end of the day, my argument for that kind of thing is you shouldn't be connecting with a character because they're the same whatever as you, religion, race, orientation, whatever. Connect with them as a just character, as a sentient being, as a human, whatever it is. You know what I mean? As a thing that you can just, resonate with. That kind of thing. It shouldn't matter. You know what I mean? One of the people that I've just kind of looked up to and just taken to heart everything they said was Kobe Bryant. Can I not do that because I'm not black? You know what I mean? Yeah. That's ridiculous. It doesn't matter to me. You know what I mean? And it should just be one of those things. You should resonate with a character, person, whatever it is, because they're what you aspire to be, or whatever it is. You know what I mean? It shouldn't matter what they are and what you are.
Not to mention, I find this whole thing of oh no, we need Tomzy to be a trans representative now, and that it's transphobe to say he's not trans and stuff like that. When I was already sus on Tomzy to begin with, but then we have this stinger that clearly is portraying him in a negative light, whether he's the freaking angel or not, which he most likely is.
Yeah.
But so, do you really want what's most likely going to be one of the big overarching villains of the series to be your trans representation?
Yeah, that's also another thing. So, I mean, it's just one of those things that just irks me. And to that end, the second part of this is then it came out that Kay herself was trans, and she was like,
no, it's not trans. It's people are saying she was non-binary.
Oh yeah, she was non-binary. Yeah, that's what it was. And it's just, again, she said no, which again, she's in control of her own life. If she says she's not XYZ thing, she's not XYZ thing. So deal with it. You know what I mean? It's that person's life. If they choose to identify as whatever, that's their business. If that improves their life, however, that's perfectly fine. But when somebody tells you that they're not this thing, you need to respect and be okay with that, because it has nothing to do with you. It's that simple. It's crazy that it's just oh, you're not one of us. It's what do you mean? She's not a person now because she's not non-binary? I don't understand. You know what I mean? It's absolutely out of control. So
yeah,
that kind of stuff is the kind of stuff that needs to stop. Period.
Who are you to tell me what I identify as?
Yeah, exactly. So again, for me, it doesn't matter. And for everyone else, it shouldn't matter. You need to respect everyone as they are, how they are, unless they are causing problems, obviously. But I mean, so at the end of the day, that was the big, like, two of the big controversies that came out in the last couple weeks here, that it just needs to stop because it's ridiculous. 100%. You know,
especially because, like, once
it's
again,
it's her characters and her creations. She has the final say in that, and she absolutely has the final say when it comes to who she is as a person, because it's her. Nobody's controlling her. She's not a puppet. You know what I mean? So everybody needs to go off and live with it, you know?
and then also, like, a lot of people are comparing this to the Yamato situation, but, like, the Yamato situation was a legitimate, like, people just trying to impose their initial headcanon. This situation is literally built entirely on misinformation.
Yeah.
It was literally just someone made a fake K account to impersonate her.
And no one fact-checked.
Made a post just to start drama, and people won't let the drama die.
Yep. The correct response to this should have been, that's clearly a fake account and not her, F you, and that's it. Not, let's let this blow up into madness.
Yeah, like, even if some people initially freaking fell for it, the moment she, on her official account, responded to it and said, no, that this isn't true, that should have just been the end of it.
Yeah, it should have been the end of it. Hard stop, no more discussion. It's like, oh, so that was a troll. Got it. Okay, see you later. You know what I mean? But anybody who uses the internet, and people who are like quote unquote terminally online, should be able to spot a troll and a fake account a mile away. You know what I mean?
Especially with, like, Kay is super active on social media and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I'm sure she has a blue check mark or whatever the hell it is on Twitter these days. But, you know, it's no different than, like, the scam emails or calls you get. Like, and I've talked about this before with plenty of people who aren't as online savvy. It's like, well, how do I know this isn't Amazon or this isn't Spotify or this isn't whatever? It's like, if you think that it looks reasonably legit, still don't open the email. Go to Amazon and see if your account's locked. Go to whatever it is. Go to the actual website to verify it. In the case of this situation, go to her actual profile. You know what I mean? If you go to the profile and see it has, like, 300 followers, it's not going to be her. You know what I mean? So, you know, and especially now with the fact that Twitter has done the like account creation details, you can see like when the account was created and where it was created. And do you guys see that from a couple weeks ago, or it was like a month and a half ago, whenever that came out, that like all the accounts that like were clearly, you know, like whatever they were pushing politically, it's like in America, they were all based in the Philippines, obviously. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. So you can just look at it and go like, that's obviously not her. You could just literally 3 minutes of effort and look at it and go, yeah, that's not her, and then move on with your day, and then just put the community note in and say like, this is a troll account, and report it. Just do your due diligence. It's not that big of a deal. Don't let drama blow up over literally misinformation. Misinformation needs to be, you know, taken down immediately and, you know, just dealt with immediately. That kind of thing. To stop this kind of nonsense. Because all this adds is more negativity and madness to the world, which we don't need. So that's about it. The Crunchyroll players obviously had it with me, so I'm going to stop and just leave it here on this, as I'm just done. We don't really need any more stills, but yeah, it's outside of that, if it wasn't for all this controversy, we would have had a little bit less to talk about for the season on the whole, because once again, no notes, great series, you know, very, very interesting concepts across the board. Again, the graffiti stuff, the soundtrack and stuff like that. It was cool that Callie got to do the OP for the second half of that, because she's a huge Gachiakuta fan and stuff like that. So that was neat to see her do something like pretty major like that.
Yeah, she's been definitely getting up there in popularity. Like, she's basically become the new face of Hollow Yen ever since Gura graduated.
Yep. So it's cool to see stuff like that. But either way, solid show. Looking forward to season 2, probably, you know, next year. I'm sure it'll get announced before summer. You know what I mean? It'll be like, yeah, season 2 is confirmed. It's not. And once again, there's more than enough source material for 50 something more episodes. You know what I mean? And as it stands right now, by the time we get to the end of season 2, we'll probably have enough material for season 4. You know what I mean? That's assuming Kay just keeps if she slows down at all. But we'll just have to see. But sometimes writers just get into that groove, and maybe she knows everything she wants to do for the series, and she just has to do it. You know what I mean? You have it in your head. It's just here are the major points. This is how I want to do each section. And then, maybe she's just incredibly good at okay, I'm going to do the XYZ arc next. And then after that is the ABC arc, and then the DCD arc. And I know pretty much what I want to do, and I just kind of got to fill it in. You know what I mean? And if you're at that point, then you got your entire roadmap, and all you got to do is write it. Just put pen to paper or hands to keys, whatever.
Yeah.
So, well done across the board. Yeah. Everything we said, no need to rehash it. So, be looking forward to season 2. Whenever that shows up, we'll do it for the channel. We'll be back. And yeah, so great first season. Bravo. So, you got anything else, Age?
Pretty sure we've covered basically everything. I get the feeling I'm missing something, but I have no idea what it is at this point.
Fair enough. So either way, that wraps up Gachiakuta. We're still waiting on dubs once again for the next set of shows, which the next set of shows, Fire Force, Frieren, MF Ghost, and Jujutsu Kaisen. Waiting on dubs, and we still have to wrap up Spy Family, which the dub for the last episode for that season has not come out yet, so that'll be a next week thing as well. But we have a couple other things that'll be coming out on YouTube the next week or two with our 2025 year in review, new intro video, stuff like that. So there'll be stuff for the holes in the schedule until we start the next set of shows. So, ladies and gentlemen, people of YouTube beyond, however you're watching, as always, we appreciate you stopping by and hanging with us here in the dojo for more Anime Night in the Dojo. And this was Gachiakuta, Season 1, Episode 24. Victoria is going to roll the stills of the season, as is tradition. So let her do that. And yeah, so everybody have a good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it is for you. Have a good one. See you next time.
Hey everyone, Victoria here. If you enjoyed the video, please consider pushing those like and subscribe buttons. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thanks again for your time, and we hope to see you again in the future.